everyone, it's Rihanna and welcome back to another video. I know this is kind of late since it's already the middle of May, but hey, better late than never. This is my what I watched in the month of April 2021 video. I watched so many great things last month, guys, and I cannot wait to talk to you about it, so let's go. Started the month off strong with Godzilla vs. Kong. I thoroughly enjoyed this sequel. I wasn't the biggest fan of Godzilla King of the Monsters, but Godzilla vs. Kong definitely made up for it. In the latest addition to the MonsterVerse franchise, we see Kong and his team, including new characters played by Rebecca Hall and the little girl Gia, who is her sort of adopted daughter in the movie. We see them team up with Nathan Lind, played by Alexander Skarsgård. Ever since the events of Kong Skull Island, Kong has just been on Skull Island being monitored by scientists, etc, etc, but they decide that they need to find Kong's true home, which is called Hollow Earth. But Kong and his team run into a teensy problem that is Godzilla when they leave Skull Island, because Godzilla's like, yo, there's another Titan on Earth that is threatening my prestigiousness and he can only be the one true Titan of Earth, so they fight. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. I thought I was gonna have to explain further, but it's Godzilla vs. Kong. It kind of says it in the title. I found this movie to be a huge improvement in terms of the human characters in comparison to Godzilla King of the Monsters. I could not have cared less about the humans in that movie. They could have all died and I would not have cared. But in this movie, Kong's team, they are actually really interesting characters and they have such a great connection with Kong, which actually makes you want to follow their story and root for them. Sadly, they could not improve on the characters on the side of Godzilla. We obviously have Kyle Chandler's character, and then we have Millie Bobby Brown's character, Madison I think her name is. I don't like her that much in this movie that I barely remember her name. I think the only characters on the side of Godzilla I liked were Josh and Bernie because they were actually really, really funny. Judy and Dennison could make me laugh at anything. But that's pretty much it for Godzilla. Obviously, he himself is freaking awesome. I love Godzilla. He's honestly the coolest. I am personally Team Godzilla. But his human characters and human storylines sucked so much, I don't want it, goodbye. Now, I won't spoil Godzilla vs. Kong for some of you, but oh my god, you guys, the fight scenes in Godzilla vs. Kong, chef's kiss, so good, heart-pounding, dramatic, just kick-ass. I loved it. There's a certain thing in this movie that is just fucking awesome, and yes to all. If you like action, if you like monster movies, you will not be disappointed. Put it this way, I spent £16 in the UK to watch this on video demand and I do not regret it one bit. And cinemas are opening in the UK and I will probably go see it again because this needs to be seen on the big screen. It was so cool! I had such a blast watching Godzilla vs. Kong. I have no regrets in paying to watch it on video on demand. It was such a freaking good time. Let's do a 180 from something I loved to something I hated and wish I could have my time back for. Wonder Woman 1984. I had been warned off this movie, I don't know why I bothered. Wonder Woman 1984 is the sequel to Wonder Woman. I actually really loved Patty Jenkins' first movie, Wonder Woman. I loved it, one of my favourite DC movies, but this sequel, I wish I could turn back time and never watch it. The basic plot of Wonder Woman 1984 is that Diane is living out her life in the 1980s. She's kind of moving on from Steve, etc, etc, and she runs into trouble with this businessman named Maxwell Lord, who basically wants to be as wealthy as anything, the wealthiest man in the world, and that ends up spinning the world into chaos when he starts granting wishes for people with this magical ancient thing. And then on the other hand, you've got Kristen Wiig as Barbara/Cheetah, who really wants to be seen and, you know, look at me, choose me, pick me. She makes a wish to Maxwell that, you know, she's seen and heard, etc, and she doesn't want that taken away from her. It sounds really stupid explaining it to you right now. Okay, do not get me wrong, loved the scenes on Themyscira. I always love the scenes on Themyscira. It doesn't matter what movie it is, whether it's Wonder Woman, whether it's Justice League, whether it's Wonder Woman 1984. These scenes on Themyscira do not disappoint. They look beautiful, they sound beautiful, they're very well directed and choreographed. It was just after that scene things started to go wrong, and that was the first scene in the movie, so. This movie was just so cheesy. The CGI looked awful, especially for Cheetah's costume, if you can call it that. Just Kristen Wiig's character as a whole was just cringy and I couldn't get behind it. There was only really Diana and Steve to care about. The rest of the characters were villains, and even then I didn't care about those. They were not great villains. Maxwell Lord was granting wishes to people across the world, and my only wish is for this movie to not exist. Yes, I did not have a good time watching Wonder Woman 1984. If you've thought of watching it, just do not bother. Just given something I could talk about probably all day because I loved it so much, Palm Springs finally came to the UK on Amazon Prime Video, and I adored this movie, you guys. If you haven't already seen Palm Springs, it tells the story of Niles, played by Andy Samberg, and Sarah, played by Kristen Milioti, who end up in a time loop after attending Sarah's sister's wedding. And they have to live the same day over and over again trying to figure out how to get out of this time loop. And it's incredibly funny and romantic and witty and warm-hearted, and I loved it so much. It's like my new comfort favourite summer movie. Andy Samberg and Kristen Milioti just have the best chemistry on screen, and they're both incredibly funny. And I'm just a sucker for time loop movies. Groundhog Day, Happy Death Day, I fucking love Happy Death Day, it's so much fun. 1000% yes to Palm Springs. If you haven't seen it already, it's on Amazon Prime Video in the UK. Just go and watch it, do yourself a favour, you will feel 10 times better afterwards. It's just such a feel-good, funny, summer vibes movie, and I just loved it. I cannot believe I only just watched Signs for the first time last month. Like, what? I have seen many M. Night Shyamalan movies, and Signs popped up and I was intrigued and I was interested and I wanted to watch this movie. Do people love this movie? Do M. Night Shyamalan fans really love this movie? Because I'm gonna say I was a bit disappointed with Signs. You all probably know what Signs is about, so I'm not gonna go on about it, but because it's M. Night Shyamalan, you expect big things to happen in the end. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna spoil this. There's a twist at the end of Signs. Who knew? It's an M. Night Shyamalan movie, what do you expect? I was disappointed with said twist because it just didn't feel like a twist. It was just very underwhelming. I like the structure of the movie in terms of it being an alien invasion movie, but that's about it. I still will watch anything M. Night Shyamalan does because some of his shit is great. I'm actually really looking forward to Old. I know people think it looks weird, but I'm excited. But Signs was a bit of a miss one for me. Yeah, sorry M. Night Shyamalan, but yeah. I have 3 more things I want to talk about that I watched in April 2021, and they all happen to be Netflix originals. First up, we have Love and Monsters. This takes place in an apocalyptic world where everyone is kind of secluded into their own homes, sort of like COVID-19, where we were all staying at homes because they can't go outside because there are monsters everywhere. Nobody goes outside in risk of losing their lives to these monsters. And we follow the character of Joel, who's played by Dylan O'Brien, as he connects with his past girlfriend Amy, and he decides he is going to make the trip to go and be with Amy once again. So he goes out to the outside world with all these monsters and stuff happens. Now, Dylan O'Brien plays the main character Joel in this movie, and I am so glad he's getting the time in the spotlight that he deserves. I've loved him since his Teen Wolf days. He's hilarious, he's lovable, he's just got so many great qualities to him that make him a perfect main character. And Joel as a character is mostly on his own in this movie, along with a dog and a robot, so he has to carry most of this movie on his own, and he does it flawlessly. Love and Monsters was a really fun watch. It wasn't anything spectacular, but it was a hell of a fun watch, and there was some great creature design here, people. The creatures and the monsters looked so freaking cool. So if you're after a fun, easy watch, I definitely recommend Love and Monsters. Another new movie just to arrive in the UK on UK Netflix is Run, directed by Anish Chaganty. I'm so sorry if I've butchered the name. And the director of this movie also directed Searching, which I absolutely love. If you haven't seen Searching, go and watch it. It's incredible. So I had very, very high expectations for Run, plus Sarah Paulson is in this movie, so she never disappoints. Run tells the story of Chloe and her mother. Chloe is in a wheelchair. She's got many, many health problems, but she starts to become suspicious of her mother when she plans to go off to college. And Chloe is right to be suspicious because her mum is dodgy AF. I don't want to give you too many details about the movie Run because you need to go in knowing nothing. I will say I kind of did guess the ending of this movie, so I was a little bit disappointed in it, but the performances were really, really good. Obviously, Sarah Paulson is incredible in everything. But the standout for me had to be Kira Allen, who played Chloe. This is her first feature-length movie, and oh my god, she was so impressive. It takes a lot for an actor to be shit scared, and she nailed it. So, so good. In comparison to Searching, it's a bit of a run-of-the-mill horror movie. It's very by the numbers, by the books, but it is still a good watch. If you are a horror fan, I definitely recommend, just for the performances from Kira Allen and Sarah Paulson. I am still super excited to see what this director does in the future because Searching is just perfect. I saved the best, in my opinion, till last. I watched Shadow and Bone, which is the new Netflix original series, and oh my god, I'm in love, you guys. Shadow and Bone is a TV show based off the novel by Leigh Bardugo. It's called Shadow and Bone. It's part of this Grishaverse. She's got a trilogy of books, which is the Shadow and Bone trilogy, and then Six of Crows duology, and then another set of books, I believe. I haven't read any of them, but I've known people who have and love them. I was really intrigued by this TV show because I'm a huge fantasy fan, and Shadow and Bone did not disappoint. Shadow and Bone is kind of difficult to describe, so I'm going to try and break it down for you in the most simple way possible because I need you guys to watch this show because it is so good. So in the world of Shadow and Bone, you have human characters and then you have the Grisha, which are humans with magical abilities. There are different categories of Grisha. For example, you have healers who can heal people, heart renderers who can speed up or slow down the heart of others. You have the Inferni who can control fire, and just all of these different magical beings. Shadow and Bone mainly takes place in this place called Revka, and Revka is separated kind of from the rest of the world by this thing called the Fold, which is this wall of dark energy, and inside there are monsters that will kill you. And the Fold was created long, long ago by this person called the Darkling, and yes, it sort of separated the Grisha and the human characters because the human characters don't like the Grisha because the Darkling created the Fold. We follow kind of three storylines here. The first one being the storyline of Alina Starkov. She's a map maker determined to get on the same vessel as her friend Mal through the Fold. But while they are journeying through the Fold, they end up running into the monsters, and Alina has to save Mal and discovers that she is a Grisha. She is in fact one of the most powerful Grishas. She is a sun summoner, a being that they have waited a lifetime for, a being that could destroy the Fold. And now she's a Grisha, she has to go to the Little Palace to train with the first commander of the army, General Kerrigan, who's played by Ben Barnes. All the while, her friend Mal is trying to get back to her. That's one storyline. And then we have the storyline of the Crows, which are Jesper, Kaz, and Inej. And the Crows get word of a job that is paying them 1 million Kruger, which is their currency, and that is to go and retrieve the Sun Summoner, Alina Starkov. And then the other storyline is of Nina, who is a heart renderer who is captured by the bad guys of the universe, basically. They hate all Grishas. But all of their stories sort of intertwine with each other as the plotline goes along. Now, I was a bit late to watching Shadow and Bone. I didn't binge it all at once. I didn't watch it on the first day. So I was seeing a lot of reviews come out being like, oh, it's not the new Game of Thrones. If you think it's going to be the new Game of Thrones, it's not. And I'm sort of thinking, I didn't expect it to be the new Game of Thrones because Game of Thrones is Game of Thrones. So can we please stop comparing anything that's relatively fantasy to Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings or anything like that, because a thing can be its own thing. And I, for one, really enjoyed Shadow and Bone. I love the fantasy element of it. They didn't take too long to explain the situation with the Grishas and the whole universe. It wasn't even boring exposition. Like, it was great. They did it really well. And I just love all of the characters. There is not one storyline I think that is better than the other storyline. I mean, I might favour the Crows storyline because I would do anything for Kaz and Nej and Jesper, and obviously Milo the goat. But I just loved exploring the world of the Grishaverse and loved all of the characters. I really hope there's a season 2 because there are 3 books in the trilogy. And yes, I just need more Kaz, Inej and Jesper and Alina and Mal and General Kerrigan, and yes to all. I love stuff with magic in it. I love it. I'm obsessed with the whole cast. I follow them all on Instagram, and yes, just Ben Barnes. Ben Barnes has aged like fine wine, good lord. If you are a fantasy fan, you need to watch Shadow and Bone. It is essential viewing at this point, in my opinion. It is gonna be huge. I can just feel it. It already has a really big following with the book fans and now with the TV fans. So yes, get on board while you still can. And that concludes all of the TV shows and movies I watched in the month of April in 2021. We had some highs, we had some lows, and we had Shadow and Bone, which I fucking loved. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys have watched, if you've watched anything that I have mentioned. I want to talk about it. And of course, if you like this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. And of course, subscribe to my channel. I'll be doing lots more videos for you guys very soon. All my social media links are down below in the comments if you want to come follow me, especially come and follow me on TikTok because I do lots more film content on there than I do on here. And of course, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you very soon. Bye! The cat is back. Somebody mentioned last time that I didn't clap my clapper board at the end of my last video. I don't know where it is, so we're gonna use my hands.